Hey guys, these are the challenges for binary conversion. I know we didn't complete the code, and I know there's a solution up, but I'll get some variations up here this week. These are all pretty straightforward and simple. There's very few of them that are one line, so I'm going to go ahead and go through most of these. Um, they mostly require loops. And that's why I'm putting this on here, just because y'all are still struggling with some of the basic loop functionalities and throwing an if test in there sometimes. So hopefully this will eliminate a lot of questions, or at least provide an example to explain how these work. So they give you a sample code right here, which I'll make sure that I include in my code. Yep. There you go. It's in my setup. Number one, print the sum of the elements. Okay, cool. I've got my standard setup. I've got my util because I'm using scanner, or I may use scanner. We'll see. So this one's pretty straightforward. Sum. I need an accumulator variable, and I'll call it sum. Set it equal to 0, and then I write that for loop. Same for loop. I'm going to use probably every question on this one. If I equals 0, I is less than, it's called nums.length, and I plus plus. So I need to update sum plus equal with whatever value I'm at. So bracket I, and then I print sum. I'll go ahead and add some text. The total value is, and concatenate sum. Give it a quick check. 59. Okay. We do want to make sure that we clear these codes, check them as we go, just to make sure. I'll try to do it every other one. Print found an odd if there is an odd number in nums. Seems very likely. Yeah, we got 3, we got 5, we got 9. So again, I'm just going to use that for loop. So this one, I need a testing value, so I'll just make a Boolean. And we'll say false. I actually need to make a value. Is odd. Or actually, just odd will work. Okay. Inside here, I'm checking each one, and I make an if test. So if nums mod I mod 2 double equal, or excuse me, is not equal to 0, then I have odd is now true. Okay. Afterwards, I've got an if print. So if odd is true, it want found an odd. It didn't give us an alternative, but we'll have something anyway. No odd values. We know they'll have one, but we're good. So 3. Print no zeros if sum does not contain any 0. Print 1. Print found a 0 if there's at least 1. Okay, so this is almost completely identical. So I'm going to take the whole code. I'm just going to retrofit it. So this one's going to be called 0. I read through the array as normal. So this time I'm checking to see if something is equal to 0. And if that happens, then 0 becomes true. And this time I read 0. Found a 0. No zeros. Okay. All right, number 4. Riddle, we skip it. Number 5. Okay. Print 2 6s if sum contains at least 2 6s. Print less than 2 if not. Okay. You've seen a Boolean test, so let's do this one with an int test. Okay. All right. So I set my accumulator to 6 equals 0. I write the same for loop, and yes, I could copy paste, but I'm just going to be nice this time and type it all out. Nums.length I plus plus. Okay, inside I'm looking for sixes. So if nums bracket I equals 6, then the variable 6 goes up by 1. That's it. Outside the loop, again, I have my print test under an if. Now remember what we're looking for. We're looking for at least 2. So if 6 is greater than equal to 2, then we print 2 6s. I think this one's spelled out. 2 6s. And else, I forget the words, less than 2 6s. Okay. Okay, that's a few. Let's check those out. Total, found an odd, found a 0, and has at least 2 6s. Okay, good. Number 5, that was 5. Print 2/3 if we have a 2 immediately followed by a 3, or print no 2/3. So that was actually number 5. This is number 6. Okay, so now Boolean is probably going to be our best bet here. I'll just say found, and I will copy this time. Okay, read through the whole thing. So this one's going to be a little bit trickier because we're reading more than one element at a time. So it's going to be a much more complicated if test. So if nums bracket I is equal to 2 and nums bracket I plus 1 is equal to 3. Both of those need to work at the exact same moment. If that happens, then found becomes true. Only way that works. Now, because I'm looking at more than one element at the same time, that means I can't go all the way to the end. Otherwise, I'm going to get an array out of bounds error. So I need to subtract 1 from our length here. Okay? Print under an if condition again. So if found, then I print, let's say yes 2/3, found 2/3, or no 2/3. Found 2/3, else no 2/3. Okay? Pretty straightforward there. 7. Print in order if the elements in num are in order, not in order if not. An array is in order if every element is less than or equal to the next. Okay, so a little bit tricky here. We'll go with Boolean again. Actually, we'll default and say true this time. Steal my for loop, because it's just so nice to not have to write that every time. Okay, so here's my test. So I'll make sure I take the -1 off. All right, so actually, no, I'm going to need that back because I'm still going to be comparing more than one. All right, so if nums bracket I is less than or equal to nums bracket I plus 1. If that's the case, hang on, that's what we want to happen. My bad. So we flip this. So if that's greater than, then order becomes false. A lot of times if you get struggling on what you want your if test to be, if you can write it one way, just reverse the sign. A lot of times that will take care of everything. And then order. If order is done, then in order, else not in order. I think those were the text. I can double check. Not in order and in order. Yep. So that's 7. Let's go ahead and do a quick run, check our updates, make sure we don't have anything crazy. Found an odd, found 2 6s, found 2 3rds, not in order. Okay, good. Number 8. Print even evens if the number of even numbers is an even number. Print uneven evens if not. A value of 0 is considered to be even. Okay, so this one's going to be an integer accumulator again because we're counting the number of evens. Okay, and my for loop. All right, if nums bracket I mod 2 double equal 0, if the value that's stored at the element inside of nums is even, then even goes up by 1. Okay, that's the if test. The print is where it's going to make the most difference. So if even mod 2 is 0, then I print even evens. And otherwise, I print uneven evens. Okay? Seems a little clunky, but it works, and this way it keeps track of it. So I don't have to flip Boolean false and true every time. This just gets the total, and then I check to see if that number is still even. All right. Number 9, 3 in a row. If 3 consecutive elements in num have the same value, otherwise print not in a row. Okay. So this one's going to be very similar to one we did early. Yeah, just take the for loop. Okay, so we'll call this a Boolean. Trips. False is more likely. So I read through the whole array, but instead of looking at one element, instead of looking at 2 elements, I'm looking at 3 in a row. So I want to take off not just 1, but 2 this time. Okay. Nums.I is my primary, so that's the main one I want to use. So this will be nums bracket I plus 1. And just copy this code right here. This will be I plus 2. If both of those are true, then trips is set equal to true. Otherwise, I don't do anything. All right, if trips 3 in a row, and else not 3 in a row. Okay, last one we've got number 10. Print the difference between the largest and the smallest elements for nums. For example, if you have 10 and 3, the difference would be 7. Okay, so this one going to be very similar to how I've done the others, only this time I need 2 external variables. So I'm just going to be very lazy and call them max and min. Okay, I'll have my for loop. Okay, now for these, I want something that can be replaced fairly quickly. I could make some crazy low value and crazy high value. That works. You know, I could do 99 here for minimum and a 0 for or vice versa. 99 for maximum. Actually, the other way around. A 0 for a maximum and a 99 for minimum. Those will very quickly be replaced. I could also do the default version and just say, hey, I'm just going to start with the first number that is in there. Great. Okay. Start somewhere, but start somewhere you know you're probably going to replace. Okay. Inside here, I do a quick test. So for max, that's going to be equal to math.max, and then I compare my values. I've got my variable max, and then I've got the value inside my array. So nums bracket I. It will look at those 2 values. figure out which one is the largest, and then print that one and save it. Okay. To do the other one, I go the exact same way, only this time I do my minimum value. And again, that's going to take my two values, compare them, see which one is least, and then save it back in there. All right? That's my entire for loop. It's going to go through both of those and calculate the values. Now, the last thing I need to do for this one is I need to print the difference. And did it have a sentence? No, it just wants those. All right? So I'll add a sentence. It's between max and min equals, and that's right here, then I just do my math, max minus min. And that will wrap up that equation, or formula. So we've got those, not in order, uneven evens, not 3 in a row, and 0 and 9 is 9. So those are the challenges. Thank you very much.